Hello, hello, hello. What's going on, everybody? This is me once again, your boy, your friend, your lover, the fellow journeyman on this road called life with you, your boy C.Harrison, and this is once again the Unmasked Podcast and my 15 minutes to fuck shit up. Y'all give a hand for your boy. Thank you, appreciate it. All right, enough of that shit. So today's is going to be real fast and hard and honest because we're right off the heels of it, and we're going to be talking about men and women and what we do with each other in the wake of this R.Kelly movement, the R.Kelly document. For a lot of you who know, the Surviving R.Kelly documentary was aired. It began airing on January 3rd on Lifetime, and I actually purposely took the time to wait until it was complete, and I sat down a couple of nights ago and watched it in its entirety because I didn't want any break in the story, and I knew that I wanted to comment on it as a whole instead of just commenting on it piece by piece. For those of you who haven't seen it or who have been under a rock, this documentary spans the history, the professional and personal history of singer Robert Kelly, or R. Kelly as he's known, and how for a large portion of his rise and being in stardom, he has, I don't even want to use the word allegedly, he has used his talent and title and clout to prey upon black women for the most part. Not even for the most part, for the whole part, really. And we're now as a society getting to the point where we no longer want to condone these types of actions, neither of R. Kelly nor of any other man who seeks to engage in derogatory or offensive or manipulative behavior towards women in order to satisfy whatever control issues or sexual ideations they come across. These people are human beings also, and what I would be focusing on would be how to bring to the forefront and maintain a proper mindset of value. We hear in the back and forth conversations about the interpersonal, socioeconomic, and relational sparring that goes on between men and women, that there's a better way to address that. And just because it seems to be part of the status quo of the current system that we're in, it doesn't mean that it needs to be part of the system that you have to adopt as your own. So what I wanted to address with this is, and saying this as simply as possible, it is wrong to mistreat women. It is wrong to try to attempt to manipulate them. It is wrong to try and scare them into doing to scare or coerce or threaten them into doing what you feel they should be doing to you or for you or with you. And this is for anybody. If it's men out there mistreating women, shame on you. If there's other women out there mistreating women, shame on you. And only in the context where she gives you consent to call her out her name. Like if y'all want to be freaky or some shit, because that some women get off on being talked dirty too, and I understand that's part of it. I myself actually happen to like doing it myself, but it is with a partner that I know has consent. That should be the only place where it should be or it should be allowed and condoned and cultivated. To be honest with you, so what I decided to do after watching this documentary and after being pissed for an untold number of hours, normally when I feel impassioned to speak on something, I'll come up here, and this is where you guys get your podcast from. I decided to do something different. In addition to making this podcast, I am also going to be starting an awareness and education movement, hashtag Black Men Care, and that stems from two things. One quote that I watched at the beginning of the documentary series, and one quote that I saw towards the end. The first quote that I saw was where R. Kelly was addressing a room full of people. I believe it said sometime in early 2018, where he said something to the effect of, and of course I'm paraphrasing, "They should have done this 30 years ago. It's too late." Nah, motherfucker, it's not too late. Which is why just recently I saw an article showing that Chicago has reversed the statute of limitations on child abuse cases. So don't be surprised if some grown ass women come looking for you. That's number one. The second one, which is definitely the one that carried more gravity for me, was said by radio personality Charlemagne the God, who's on the Breakfast Club, and he said, and I'm actually taking pieces of his quote of what he said. He states that the most disrespected woman in America has historically been the black woman. If you want to get away with sexual assault, then you assault a young black girl. The fact that it's mostly young black women R. Kelly preys on, no one cares. Those last three words, no one cares, sent me somewhere. It had me really want to kind of address is saying it nicely, but to clap back at that, yeah, I wanted to clap back at that. So that's really where the hashtag Black Men Care movement is sprouting out of. And I even went so far as to do a mission statement, which says, Black Men Care is a social reform movement dedicated to improving the community relations of black men and black women through the eradication of toxic and destructive systemic views towards women and cultivating open and productive dialogue centered around open and productive dialogue and action. That's important. Centered around the understanding of the black woman's experience and value, creating a more effective and harmonious union between the two. That is what I'm trying to do with it. I am a black man who cares. I am a black man who cares and should be saying something. Therefore, I am saying something. Not enough black men are speaking on it. Not enough black men are saying, point blank period, this is not correct. I understand that we have been doing it. I understand that it is something that we feel has been part of our culture, of the American culture, or whatever. The fact of the matter is, this is not right. Women have been suffering for it, and because women have been suffering for it, damn near everybody's suffering for it. Because if you throw the woman off her game like that, if you take her off center, if you try to beat her down mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, financially, sexually, intimately, if you do those things, um, you're you're damaging the other half of the community. And it's not even to say it's the better part or the more important part or the less important part. I don't care about all that. You're damaging a part of the community. You're damaging the part of literally the other half of the community because you only got men and women. All right, whether you're cis hetero or trans or whatever, you have men and women in the community, and if you tear them down, you are tearing down yourself. And if you do that, we can't get anywhere. I say to a lot of my life coaching clients and to people in general, whenever the subject seems to come up, the only way that we're going to get anywhere effectively is going to be together. And that requires all of us, and that requires all of us being healthy. That requires all of us not being understanding that we have a safe space with each other. If you don't get along with somebody, you don't have to tear them down. You just don't have to associate yourself with them. If that is part of your natural chemistry, that is not a very strong bond between you and the next person, at least don't do them any harm. Understand what it is that you're trying to do for yourself and for your life, and go and get after and go on and get that. But do not try to manipulate anybody into giving you or feeding into you what you should be doing for yourself. And I feel that that's where a lot of the control issues, I feel like that's where a lot of the manipulation issues, I feel that's where a lot of the game talking, I feel like that's where a lot of the holding people, uh, holding women emotionally and mentally and spiritually and sexually prisoner comes from. Uh, you feel that that gives you some measure of worth because because you got a body count on you. You feel that that gives you some type of worth because you can flash, some money and get some head or get some pussy, get yourself a nice piece of ass, and as long as you keep flashing the money, you can do that. That has nothing to do with your value. And yes, I'm saying this directly to the man and anybody else within this toxic system, within this toxic and manipulative system. That has nothing to do with your value. Your character does. Exercising your positive personality traits does. Being able to treat people with the respect that they deserve does. And that respect isn't relative. That's actually kind of absolute. And that's why I put so much value on equity between men and women, not so much equality. Equality seems to denote that you get the exact same thing as I do, and that's not necessarily, in my opinion, that's not necessarily what needs to be done. But having equity, having a same, having a like value for each other, hell yeah, I can get down with that. That means if I deserve a raise, I think you deserve a raise if you're in the same job position. That means if I want to be talked to in a way that I feel cultivates respect and cultivates approachability and cultivates understanding, that means I believe that for you too. Point blank, period. And not only do I believe it, but I do actions and speak words that support my belief, which means if I say that I believe there should be a safe zone of conversation and dialogue and being able to hash stuff up between men and women and be able to talk about each other's experiences without tearing down and stuff like that, if I believe that there's supposed to be a safe zone for that, that means I should be an example of that safe zone. I should be an example of, hey, baby, tell me about your day. Like, really tell me about your day. What's been going on? Who said what to you? You know, and really have a listening ear. I don't know if we have enough men that are able to do that because we're so caught up on our own pains and our own struggles, and a lot of us, haven't learned how to navigate that because we don't understand all the tools that we possess. So we go outside of ourselves trying to fill those holes with alcohol, with work, with sex, with feeling like you the big man on the block, with feeling like, yeah, my rep's gonna do something for me. Get the fuck out of here with that. How you treat yourself and how you treat others, it's what's gonna get you somewhere. So, in conclusion, if you have any questions for me in terms of the Black Man Cares movement, I am actually designing t-shirts for it as well that will be on sale shortly. I'm going to be trying to linking up with some other organizations to really try and get this moving because I think it needs to happen. I want to do speaking engagements on it. I want to be able to, go into churches and go to men's retreats and be able to bring men to women's uh, um, functions and in order to be able to get the dialogue going. So that's been your boy C.Harrison Nails. That was my 15 minutes to fuck shit up. You guys can hit me up at charrisonnails@gmail.com. I love you guys. Peace out. Until next time.